Distinguished gentlemen, and so that the panel knows, we do approach this with serious nature and on a bipartisan basis, and that comes down to the leadership that Mr. Mfume provides, that we work together, including this committee. We'll now move to members' questions. I would give 5 minutes to the distinguished gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the witnesses being here. Mr. Horowitz, is there adequate access to data sources for effective oversight?
No, not currently. There is some access, but it's clearly insufficient.
It's particularly a problem with Social Security and their death master file, isn't it?
Yeah, look, the most obvious source of information, if you want to verify data, is the Social Security Administration's death master file. Is someone living or dead is a pretty straightforward question.
How dependent is the Social Security Administration on state data for ensuring that the death master file data is accurate?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you there. So.
Well, the question is, the Social Security death master files depended on data from the states. Is that, how well is that working?
I actually have not done myself a review of how SSA manages its own death master file index. I can certainly get back to you on that, talk to the SSA OIG. I know they've issued reports about that and have concerns about the reporting in that space.
Well, I think the Government Accountability Office, Ms. Brown, has reported that one of the leading causes of improper payments is antiquated data systems. And what I'm trying to find out is how much of a problem in terms of having adequate access to data sources is related to antiquated data systems.
The two are definitely related. In the work that we did in 2023 on unemployment insurance, one of the things we looked at were the states' data systems. And we found that many states were using data systems that were established in the 1970s and the 1980s. And this was across a number of their programs. So it's no question that antiquated data systems were a factor, not only in being able to execute the programs, but definitely not able to help prevent any type of improper payments and fraud because the systems just couldn't handle the type of analytics needed. So it's an issue.
That's one roadblock, Mr. Horowitz, and you've run into other roadblocks dealing with the Social Security Administration on this issue. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, one of the challenges we had during our effort to take applicant information that came to the Small Business Administration, their Paycheck Protection Program, Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, referred to PPP and EIDL. It took us, I think it was around 8 months to get an agreement in place with the Social Security Administration so we could verify applicant information. It shouldn't take so long. It's then, I know, for both us and Treasury do not pay, costly to get that verification information from Social Security Administration. So there are several things that need to get fixed. They should be able to have that data accessed by programs so they can verify applicant information and not pay substantial sums to get that verification.
Is that a standard practice, though? I mean, should one federal agency be charging another agency, particularly an oversight agency, for data?
So this is no question it was an issue. So Treasury getting access to the death master file took a legislative action, and their current access is temporary. And one of the things that we would like to see is for that access to be made permanent, and we would like to see the democratization of data.
Would that require legislation, Ms. Brown?
I think it would. Definitely in the case of the death master file, it would require legislation for Treasury's access to the death master file to be made permanent.
What other statutory changes would be recommended? And that's a question for Ms. Miller. I don't want to leave you out.
Yeah, Treasury has a strong need to get access to not only the death file, the full death file permanently, but also the National New Hire Database, another database that GAO took almost 10 years to get access to. They also would like to have more authority to be able to have some exemptions from the Computer Matching Act, which is another big barrier for agencies using data. So Treasury's Do Not Pay initiative has expanded significantly in the last year through the Office of Payment Integrity, and they're really looking to improve their access to data, which they can then make available to all of the federal government in a centralized fashion. But it does take legislation to give them those authorities and to give them further access to those data sets.
There's also another issue that I think needs to be addressed, and that is at the state level during the pandemic on the unemployment. The state unemployment agencies, in my opinion, under pressure from the federal government to get money out in some cases, but they were very lackadaisical in verifying eligibility. They were sending unemployment checks to people who applied through foreign IP addresses. I tried to address this. I tried to get the last big relief bill amended to prohibit foreign IP addresses, to put some other safeguards in. Couldn't get that in, but I do think the states have some responsibility here, some culpability here, and because when they approved payments of unemployment, sending out unemployment checks, that carried with it the federal government's check as well, that $300.
Absolutely, and I would add that any program that's a federal-state partnership, the states have a role in getting the federal dollars out, requires a strong partnership between the federal government and the states, but the states then become critical partners in getting it out. Totally agree. Unemployment insurance was an example. Medicaid is another example. TANF. There are a number of programs that are administered at the state level, and the states have to have really strong and robust IT systems, and they also need to have strong data analytic capabilities.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I've been working on this issue almost from the time I came into Congress. I was able to get it into the budget as an action item for reducing improper payments. And when you think about the fact that improper payments, just the improper payment side of things, about $250 billion a year, with us operating a deficit, every dollar that's a borrowed dollar, we're paying interest on money improperly expended. And I think we've got to take this much more seriously than we have to do something about this. With that, I thank you for your generosity and time. Now, yield back.